Hi, I'm Anant Mathur. I manage technical marketing team for Cisco Next Generation Firewalls. And as all you know that we have introduced a unified operating system for Next Generation Firewall last year. And we also have a lot of ASA deployment that actually runs stateful firewall, and those customers are not migrating to the unified operating system for NGFW that is called Firepower Threat Defense. And for that, to facilitate that, we have introduced a tool called migration tool. This particular migration tool will help ASA customers to migrate their ACLs, NAT, objects, and software if they are running 9.1 onwards. We can migrate all kind of NATs, all kind of objects, and any software that is 9.1 beyond. We can migrate all kind of ACLs. There are few ACLs that use users or SGT tags or time ranges or FQDN. These four kind of objects are not supported on migration with migration tool. FQDN time ranges right now are not supported on the device itself. That's why we cannot migrate it. Users and SGT tags will be introduced in upcoming releases. So this is in a principle. This is in principle you can migrate when you're migrating your ASA configuration to Firepower Threat Defense. Now I'm in this particular chalk talk, I'm going to talk about the steps involved into migrating your ASA configuration to Cisco Firepower Threat Defense. To migrate the configuration, you need to follow a few steps. The number one step is to install a migration tool. This particular tool you can install either on Cavium environment or on ESXi. You also need to install a FMC, that is Firepower Management Center. If you are using a virtualized Firepower Management Center, if you are not using virtualized Firepower Management Center, then you can and you're using a hardware Firepower Management Center, that is a hardware form factor, you can use that for conversion. So let's take an example where customers are using a virtualized Firepower Management Center instance. So you have to install the FMC, that is Firepower Management Center Virtual on ESXi or Cavium. So after installing these two things, that means migration tool and FMC, you have to go back to your ASA, export the running configuration. The exported running configuration will be either in .txt format or in .cfg format. Now you have to take this particular running configuration that you exported and you have to import this configuration into the migration tool. So once you import the configuration into the migration tool will ask you to select either access policy or pre-filter policy for migration. So essentially, when you migrate those ASA configuration, either they will sit on access policy or they will sit in pre-filter policies on Firepower Management Center. Pre-filter policies is the recommended way to go because pre-filter policies are meant to have layer 2 to layer 4 inspection. So once you migrate your ASA configuration, and essentially ASA is a stateful firewall, and all those ACLs and NATs actually they are meant for layer 2 to layer 4 inspection and control perspective. So once you actually migrate them, all those ACLs in principle should be migrated to pre-filter. That's the recommended way, but we don't enforce it. So if you are migrating your configuration from ASA and you are very sure what kind of configurations you want to extend for layer 7 inspection, like application visibility and control, URL filtering, IPS, protection against advanced malware, if you know what you are trying to do, you can very well choose access policy as well. So let's take an example, for this particular chalk talk that, you're migrating a configuration and you go a recommended way of pre-filter policies. So once you select pre-filter policy, it will ask you to choose an action. Our actions are fast path or analyze. Fast path will allow you to do all kind of layer 2 to layer 4 inspection, but all the advanced inspection will not be followed for the traffic. So essentially, let's take an example. You have migrated to pre-filter policy and all your ACLs reside on pre-filter policy and you have selected fast path. When the traffic comes to your next generation firewall, it hit all the rules that are there in pre-filter policy. All the control will be enforced, all the layer 2 to layer 4 conformance will happen, but that traffic will not be sent for advanced inspection like application visibility and control, IPS, URL filtering, or protection against advanced malware. So it will be as good as now you are running a ASA on your next generation firewall. Now, but if you want to inspect that traffic, that let me enforce or let me inspect layer 2 layer 4, but after that I have to analyze the traffic for layer 7 inspection, then you choose analyze. So once you make your decision and you choose the options, you can click to convert. Once you click to convert, the migration tool will start converting the configuration from your stateful firewall ASA format to firepower threat defense format, and it will generate a report. This report will tell you exactly what are the configuration that are migrated and what are the configuration that are not migrated and what is the reason behind the configuration that are not migrated. And also it will export .sfo file. Now this particular .sfo file is a binary file which FMC understands. So now what you have to do after reviewing the report and getting the .sfo file, you have to import .sfo file into your production FMC. So this is essentially an FMC that you use to manage your devices. It can be virtual form factor or it can be a hardware appliance. And so since we have in this particular chalk talk, we are taking an example of virtual FMC. So you have to log into virtual FMC and using the import tool, import this .sfo file into FMC. Once you import the file into FMC, you have to assign a security zone or interface group. So you can assign already existing security groups or security zone, interface groups or security zone, or you can create new. Once you assign security zones or interface groups, you can click to import, and once you click to import, this production FMC will start applying the converted configuration in the FMC. So once the import is complete, you can see the task button. You can click to task and see if the process is completed or not. Once the process is completed, you can to see the ACLs. You can go to policies. Under policies, you can select pre-filter, and under pre-filter you can see all the ACLs that are migrated. So all the ACLs are coming from all the ACLs will be represented as a rules under pre-filter policies, and all those rules will be enabled apart from few. So those disabled rules will be ACLs that has these kind of objects in it. So the rules which have these kind of objects will be migrated but will be disabled. And all the NAT entries you can find under devices. Under devices there will be a NAT tab. Under NAT you can find all kind of NAT entries that is being migrated from your ASA configurations. The other important thing to note here is this particular migration tool is nothing but an FMC. So you don't have to run any new technology or any new technique to migrate ASA configurations to firepower threat defense. What essentially you have to do, you can download an FMC, let's say FMC 6.2, which is latest. Install it on ESXi server, log into console. On console, type enable migration.pl. Once you type enable migration.pl, hit enter, and this command will immediately transform FMC 6.2 to the migration tool. So that's all I have for you from migration tool perspective. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good day.